Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Tom's Gadget Garage. Today I'm out here in Tempe, Arizona with the Ride1Up Portola eBike. And this video is going to be really me giving you some of my final thoughts on this bike. Now, if you've been following my channel for a while, you'll know that I've covered this bike extensively in my video series, including my first impressions ride, my pedal assist 3 range test, as well as my endurance hill climb up 17 miles of windy mountain roads. And so over the course of 100+ miles, I think I've got a pretty good grasp of what this bike's capabilities are. So I'll go ahead and go over those today, as well as show you some of the beautiful things that we've got out here in Tempe, Arizona. Now, first and foremost, this is a 48-volt e-bike, which does come equipped with a 750 nominal watt motor, which can crank out 1,092 peak watts of power, as well as 65 Newton meters of torque. So that takes you above and beyond what you typically find in your budget-friendly folding electric bike. Now, powering that motor is going to be a 13.4 amp hour battery, which is good for 643 watt hours of capacity. So this is the longer range version of this e-bike. If you do want to save some money, you can absolutely opt for the smaller battery variant, which is around 10 amp hours. The only thing there is that you are going to get a little bit less range on that particular bike, but you are going to get some weight savings. Now, speaking of weight, this bike does weigh in at 61.6 pounds, which makes it the lightest full-function, fully geared folding electric bike that I've tested on this channel, which is going to be particularly important for folks that are going to be lugging this thing around. All right, so I took a little bit of a pit stop here at Tempe Town Lake. As you can see, we've got those bridges that go over the lake. We've got these beautiful buildings, and I'll tell you right now, when you come out here at night, all these things are lit up like a Christmas tree. It's absolutely beautiful riding out here at night, so if you're ever in the area, I highly suggest it. Anyways, here's a quick look at the Ride1Up Portola, and as you can see, it is a nice, small, compact folding electric bike. And the particular color scheme that I got on here is the one with the tan seats, the tan sidewalls, as well as these tan handlebar grips, which in my opinion give this bike a very elegant look. Another thing to mention about this bike, which I think is an important feature, is the fact that this battery can be removed externally. You don't have to fold this bike up to get access to that battery, and that's going to be huge, especially if you're going on longer rides. Maybe you have multiple batteries, you want to swap them out, or you want to take this inside to charge it up separate from the bike. Being able to remove it and reinsert it very easily like that is a huge plus. And of course, another standout feature is the fact that this is a folding e-bike, so it's very easy to break down. I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like right now. First, you're going to want to go ahead and fold the pedals. Next, you're going to go ahead and undo the latch and then press the button to collapse the stem. Undo the frame latch by pulling this lever and unlocking. Lift the kickstand and fold the bike. And as you can see, the Ride1Up Portola gets into a very compact form factor. So as you can see, this bike does get into a nice small form factor, which makes it really easy to throw into the trunk of your car. And I've got to say that Ride1Up definitely thought about riders when designing the folding mechanism on this bike, because they do include a fabric strap which will help you keep both halves of the bike together. That is a huge pain point on a lot of folding bikes, because once you do fold them up, you kind of got these two halves flopping around. With that fabric strap, it keeps things nice and tight and makes it even easier to load up into your car. Now, in terms of the tires on this bike, I don't know if you'll hear it in the video or not, but they do have kind of a cross-country knobby tread to them. And they do have a little bit of a droning noise. You can definitely hear them when you are riding. There are other bikes that have got more of a street tread that are quieter. Good news here is that you're not stuck with the tires that you get with the bike. You can always put something in with kind of a more street-friendly, quieter tread if you want. Me personally, I do like these cross-country tires because they do allow me to go ride both on and off the beaten path, and ensuring that I can maintain traction on those riding surfaces. In terms of the sizing on the tires, they are 20-inch by 3-inch fat tires, and they're made by Chaoyang. And so far, they've held up really well. No flat tires to speak of. One important consideration when it comes to deciding which electric bike you want is going to be whether or not to get a bike with a cadence sensor or a torque sensor. Cadence sensors basically measure movement of your pedals. So as long as those pedals are moving, regardless of how fast or slow, they're going to deliver power. With a torque sensor, it uses a pressure-based system. So The more pressure you put on the pedals, the more output you're gonna get from the motor. And generally speaking, torque sensors are gonna give you a more natural ride feel. Now, cadence sensors really come in two flavors. You have the speed-based cadence sensors and the wattage-based cadence sensors. This Ride1Up Portola comes with the wattage base, which is the better of the two. It's gonna give you a slightly more natural ride feel compared to a speed-based sensor. But the most important thing for me is that it delivers very smooth power. So power delivery is on point. Whereas with some of the speed-based cadence sensors, sometimes it can feel like a rocket, you know, as soon as you start moving those pedals, that bike lurches forward. Not so with the Ride1Up Portola. In terms of gearing on this bike, it does have a 48-tooth chainring. So if you live in a place that's got some hills, I think that 48-tooth setup is gonna be perfect. In addition to the chainring, you've got 8 speeds to choose from. So it is an 8-gear bike, and it uses a Shimano Altus derailleur, which is a step above the Shimano tourney that we typically see at this price point. And I'll tell you what, I mentioned in my first impressions video, but out of the box, the derailleur came set up perfectly. The shifting was nice and smooth. I didn't have to make any adjustments, which says a lot, because a lot of times I get these bikes delivered to me, you know, they get shipped from, you know, someplace across the world, who knows where. They might get, you know, banged around a bit, and those derailleurs are off, and you've got to make some adjustments. Not so with this bike. Another nice addition are the trigger shifters here that you can see on the right-hand side. Very ergonomic, much easier to use than the kind of Mickey Mouse shifter that you see on a lot of budget-friendly bikes. Now, I did mention this bike does pretty good both on flat ground and on hills. One of the tests that I do with all the e-bikes that I test out on this channel is I take them up my endurance hill climb. That is a 17-mile round-trip climb up windy mountain roads at Phoenix's South Mountain. It is a grueling hill climb test. And on this particular bike, I was able to make it up with flying colors. Now, with that being said, you know, I did have to, you know, put the bike into pedal assist 4 and 5, which are the highest pedal assist levels on this bike, to make it through some of the steeper stuff. But in those levels, this bike had no shortage of power. So the combination of that 750-watt motor as well as the 8 gears made relatively easy effort of that hill climb. And then on the way down the mountain is when I have ample opportunity to test out the brakes. And I'll tell you right now, the brakes on this bike do a fantastic job of allowing you to control your descent as well as come to a stop quickly. It comes equipped with hydraulic disc brakes, and those discs are 180 millimeters both up front and in the rear. And those hydraulic brakes are going to give you ample control over your stopping power, more so than you would get out of a bike with cable actuated brakes. Now, a little bit later on this ride, I will do a little bit of a hill climb, just so you can see how this thing handles a 12% grade, which is, to be honest with you, going to be more than what most people are going to encounter on their typical day-to-day rides. But we'll do it in pedal assist and throttle only. That way you can kind of get a live view of what that looks like. If you're curious what the speed looks like on this bike, the Portola does adhere to the 3-class system. So it does come out of the box as a Class 2 e-bike, which means that your speed, both with throttle only, which is here on the left, and pedal assist, are going to be limited to 20 miles an hour. Now, if you do want to tone things down a bit, you can move into Class 1 mode. And with Class 1, it's going to disable the throttle and limit your speed in pedal assist to 20 miles an hour. And if you want to up the ante, you can bump it into Class 3 mode, you know, regulations permitting in your area, and that will unlock the pedal assist speed to 28 miles an hour, but your throttle will be still limited to 20 miles an hour. So lots of flexibility with speed on this bike. All right, so we are crossing back over the pedestrian bridge, and we're gonna head out on the other side of the lake, and that's gonna take us to our little hill climb area. I don't know what the weather looks like in October where you're at, but right now we finally have some cool weather here in the Phoenix metro area. 80s and 90s during the day, and it's cooling down to the 60s at night, which I can tell you right now I am very grateful for, because it's been a toasty summer out here. One of the factors that you might be interested in is how responsive the power delivery is on this bike. And so when we look at this cadence sensor here, like I mentioned, as long as those pedals are moving, it's going to deliver power. So if I pedal really hard, it's going to deliver power. If I pedal very lightly like this, it's going to deliver power. And so unlike a torque-based system, it doesn't matter how fast those pedals are moving as long as they are moving. But the question is, how responsive are they? So I'm gonna go ahead and put down some power here, right about a half revolution. So I'll go ahead and do that again. Yeah, right about a half revolution for that power to kick in. So it's not immediate, but it's definitely better than what you typically see on a cadence sensor equipped e-bike. And real quick, I wanna show you this. When it comes to switching class modes on this bike, it's relatively straightforward. Here on this display, which you can see we got our power, pedal assist level, speed, wattage, odometer, trip, time, all that fun stuff. When you go into here, you can hold down the power button and the minus button, and it'll switch class mode. So now we're in class 3, that'll crank our speed up to 28 miles an hour. If I push and hold it again, it'll go to class 1 mode. And if I push and hold it again, it'll go right back into class 2. So very simple class switching capabilities on this bike. You don't have to go deep into the menu system. You just push and hold 2 buttons and you're ready to rock and roll. Something that I really like about these smaller folding electric bikes is that they're very nimble, and they're like the perfect bike to come cruising around a city with. And if you follow my channel for a while, you'll know that every now and then I like to take trips, and I'll throw my bikes in the trunk of my car and head out onto my next adventure, whether that be driving up to Flagstaff, going down to Tucson, Arizona, or driving around various cities here in the Phoenix metro area. It's really easy with a bike like this. I don't have to worry about, loading up a rack or anything like that. I just fold it, throw it in the trunk, and I'm good to go. And here's all the buildings to the right that are lit up very well at night. It's always a cool place to come around here for a nice little night ride. Now, speaking of lighting, this bike does come equipped with a headlight, which does a decent job of illuminating the path ahead. With most e-bikes and scooters that I test on this channel, if you are going to be doing a lot of riding around at night, I do recommend getting yourself a handlebar mounted light, which will give you more visibility, not only straight ahead, but more importantly to the sides, so that you can see the sides of you. This bike also has a rear tail light and brake light. So when you pull on the brake levers, the brake light activates, which is going to be important for riding around at night. So now we've transitioned to riding around on hard-packed dirt. And the good news here is that this bike does come equipped with a front fork suspension. Now that front fork does have the ability to lock out the suspension. Unfortunately, there isn't any kind of preload adjustment on there. So in future iterations of that bike, that'd be a really good addition. But overall, I think the suspension on here does a decent job. It does come firm out of the box, but as you rack up the miles, it does soften up a little bit. All right, so this here is going to be the spot of our 12% hill climb. All right, so I went ahead and looped around and put us into gear 4. Unfortunately, I was in gear 8, which is awful for starting off on an incline. But this is our 12% grade. I'm in pedal assist 5, and I'm going to go ahead and start pedaling. It takes about a half rotation for that cadence sensor to kick in, and there it is. And we're making it up this 12% grade. No problem at all. Easy peasy, folks. All right, so we're going to do the same thing again, but with throttle only, and we're going to do that in 3, 2, 1, go. Throttle's in, power's ramping up, a little bit of a slow start, but we are accelerating. I did switch the display to the speedometer. It was showing our average speed for a moment there. Boom, about 9, 10 miles an hour. No problem at all. And if you're curious how the brakes work coming down a decline like this, here we go. And let's hit the brakes. We're coming to a stop, sliding out, and we can absolutely come to a stop, even down at 12% grade. Lots of stopping power with these hydraulic brakes. And we'll go back up with a running start, throttle only. We're going about 11, 12 miles an hour. So as you can see, this bike has got plenty of hill climb ability. Not only was it able to make it up our 17-mile mountain road, but we're able to make it up this 12% grade in this city environment without issue. All right, so here we've got some more riding off the beaten path on more hard-packed dirt with some gravel on it. And these tires are very grippy on this kind of road surface. So like I mentioned, if you're gonna be riding both on and off the beaten path, this bike is well equipped for it. And a little bit of a hill climb. Got some river rocks. Definitely feel that suspension going to work. And we got to the top. Question is, how do we get onto this bike lane? We lift the bike, that's what we do. All right. Another little climb up this hill. Right now we're gonna go to the Governor Hunt Memorial, which is a pretty cool little pyramid here at the top of the hill. We'll go check that out. It's been a while since I've been up there. And here we go. So we're gonna take this for a while, and then there should be a bridge crossover, and that'll take us onto the path up to the pyramid. This is one of the things that I absolutely love about this part of Tempe, is that they've got these bike paths all over the place. They got, you know, Frisbee golf course, the whole 9 yards. Definitely a good place to be outdoors, especially in the cooler months. All right, we got quite a steep little hill climb right here. And in pedal assist 5, gear 8, I mean, we're powering right through this, no problem at all. There's the pyramid straight ahead. I don't know if you're gonna see it or not, but we're getting close. All right, this is our bridge crossing. As you can see, like all kinds of bike paths here. I mean, this place is awesome. Always a blast riding through here. And here we are. This is the location of Governor Hunt's tomb. That's the first governor of the state of Arizona. And what I'm gonna have to do is pick up this bike. Now, thankfully, this thing only weighs 61.6 pounds. So we should be able to lift it no problem. And there we go. Look at this. I mean, this bike, it's got a nice handle there, right around the center of gravity, which makes it really easy to carry this thing upstairs. All right, folks, there you have it. Another Tempe landmark. This is the tomb of George W.P. Hunt, first governor of the state of Arizona. He was buried here in 1934. Beautiful. And what a beautiful place. I mean, look at that. I don't know if you're gonna see that. I think that's the part of the Phoenix Zoo. It's like mountain goats or deer or something. I don't know. I'll show you a picture of those. But you've got downtown Tempe, Tempe Town Lake. That's where we were just riding. Straight up ahead on those mountains, way out in the distance, is South Mountain. That's where I do my endurance hill climb. That's that 17.5 mile round trip ride. There's our beautiful Portola, of course. And then on this side, you've got Papago Park. Another beautiful place, water feature, palm trees. Out there you got Window Rock, which is like a window in the rock. Very great little tourist area. And yeah, this place is beautiful. I'm glad to call this home. Let's walk on over here. Downtown Phoenix is straight ahead. Uptown Phoenix is over there. Always an experience coming out here. All right, folks. Time to head on back down. A little more riding off the beaten path here. Brakes are solid, give us the ability to nicely control our descent here. It's a lot of loose gravel. It's a perfect place to eat it. Anyways, all kinds of places to see out here in Arizona, even in the middle of a city. Now, one thing I know is important for a lot of folks is range. Now, this is the longer range version of this bike, so it's got the 48 volt, 13.4 amp hour, 643 watt hour capacity battery. So it is, you know, designed to go on those longer rides. And so for all of my range tests, I throw the bikes into the middle pedal assist mode, which in this case is pedal assist 3. It's got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 0 is no assistance, 5 is the most amount of assistance, 3 is right there in the middle of the road, and probably gonna be the most comfortable riding mode for most folks. But in my range test, I was able to get 42.5 miles on a single charge, which is absolutely insane. That's a tremendous amount of biking. I mean, at that mileage, you're gonna be riding around for hours and hours. Now, they do have a 10 amp hour battery version of this bike, which isn't gonna give you as much range, but it is gonna lighten the load on the bike a little bit. So, you know, if you're looking to save some weight and having that extra couple pounds savings is crucial for you, you have that option. But if you are gonna be going on longer bike rides, this bike can absolutely do it. And one of the nice things about the setup here is that it's got a rear rack that's actually integrated into the frame of the bike. It is one with the frame of the bike. And it's got a maximum load capacity of 150 pounds. Now, in terms of the max load of the bike with fully loaded cargo, you're looking at 342 pounds, which should be able to accommodate most folks. So if you do want to load this up with gear and go out on an epic adventure, you can absolutely do it. Now, with that being said, the first half of the battery on any e-bike or electric scooter is always going to be more performant than the second half of the battery. And so I always mark my turnaround points right around 60 to 65% battery remaining, which on this bike is the moment that the second battery bar disappears. When that battery bar disappears, it means you've got 49 volts, which is right there between 60 and 65%. So that's what I use as my turnaround point, and it's worked really well on my longer range bike rides with this Portola. All right, so right now we're coming up this hill, throttle only, and as you can see, plenty of power. So if you like to ride with throttle, or if you like to ride with pedal assist, or a mix of both, this bike has got you covered. Now, a factor that's going to be important for a lot of folks is whether or not it's a comfortable ride. And this Ride1Up Portola, like I mentioned, has a front fork suspension. It's got a relatively comfortable seat. And most importantly for me, it's got a nice upright riding position. Like, I have almost no weight on my hands, which is going to be very important when it comes to like hand fatigue on longer rides. And because I have that upright riding position, I'm not hunched over and, you know, developing a bunch of back pain on my longer rides. Another thing to mention is that this bike does accommodate riders of various heights, and so you do have the ability to go in there and adjust the height of the seat, either higher or lower, whatever best suits your needs. Unfortunately, the bike doesn't have an adjustable height handlebar stem, so for me at 5'10", it's perfect. And if you're curious what the top speed of this bike is, I'm in class 3 mode, pedal assist 5, gear 8. We're gaining speed, 27 and 28 on the screen, and we're able to maintain this cadence and speed very well. 27, 28 miles an hour, and no real kind of ghost pedaling, but it is right there on the edge. So as you can see, we were able to hit that 27, 28 mile an hour top speed without issue, and that pretty much matches what I was able to get during my first impressions ride with a fully charged battery. And you saw it for yourself, it's a very stable ride, even at speed. Just keep in mind that if you are gonna be riding around at those speeds, you're gonna burn through that battery very quickly. Now, if you do wanna customize the ride experience, Ride1Up does give you the ability to go into the menu system here, and you can adjust things like the different voltage levels. I think you can go in there and make some adjustments to the speed of different levels of pedal assist. You can set your trip reset stuff, kind of the whole 9 yards, and so there is some customizability built into this. All right, folks, so there you have it. That's my 100+ mile review on the Ride1Up Portola. Overall, this is one of the best folding electric bikes that I've ever tested on this channel. Quality is on point. There's no rattles or vibrating or any kind of crazy stuff like that with this bike. Power is on point. It gets excellent range, and most importantly for me, it gets into a nice compact form factor, and it's about 5 to 10 pounds lighter than many of its competitors. But let me know if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, concerns. Happy to address those in the comments section below, and I will be sure to include my entire video series in that description as well, so if you want to check those out, those will be available to you. If you do want to pick up one of these bikes, I will include an affiliate link in the description, and as always, thank you so much for tuning into Tom's Gadget Garage. We'll see you next time.